why do you think they need to put Flame University? What exactly they can expect?
The quality of education. I can study finance with 17 possible minors. I can study finance with public policy or with journalism or with film and television or even design. That kind of really one of the strongest USP of Flame for the students. What we are very conscious and careful about at Flame is that every student matters. So here the students have to study throughout the year, and anybody listening to this and thinks that shortcut is your key, please do not apply.
Welcome everyone. Today we have Anju Devskar, who is honored to serve as the Director of Admissions Outreach at Flame University, Pune. Coming from the third generation of an armed forces family, she has imbibed values of discipline, dedication, and resilience from an early age. With 22 plus years of rich experience in education, Anju's journey began prestigious IB school like the International School of Bangalore, Indus International, where she nurtured young minds as an educator before transitioning into administrative and operational roles. At Flame University, Anju leads outreach activities across India and internationally, with special focus on regions such as Middle East and Africa. She oversees strategic planning, communication, and various facets of the application and admission process. Her role involves close collaboration with school counselors, educators, and secondary schools offering diverse national and international curricula. Anju firmly believes that creativity, critical thinking, and innovation are essential in empowering learners to develop the skills they need to thrive in a volatile, uncertain, and ambiguous world. Her extensive experience in both teaching and administration has reinforced her commitment to fostering these qualities in students. The most rewarding aspect of her role is interacting with students as they embark on their unique college journey. Guiding them through this pivotal phase and witnessing their growth and achievement is truly fulfilling for Anju. At Flame University, she is dedicated to shaping future of education by nurturing talent and encouraging intellectual exploration. Please join me in a lovely conversation with Anju Devskar, understanding what is liberal education, what is liberal education really means, and how exactly Flame University plans to deliver it, what Flame University is offering, and ensuring that student comes out as an employable and ready for workforce. Let's go. So, Anjuman, my first question to you is that many students and parents till now lack clarity about what this liberal education really means. Okay. What I want to request you is that if how would you explain this concept to someone who is listening or hearing about the liberal education for the first time?
Sure. So, liberal education is liberating education where the students, when they come to a higher education scenario, they're able to choose something which they want to learn rather than something that a university offers and you have to take it. And I always give this analogy that, you're not the puzzle that fits into a pre-designed structure of the puzzle, but this is somebody, you who design what you want to study. And during our conversation we'll talk more about how to club these subjects and how do students do, but in concept, again we have to go back a little bit because it's not a new concept at all.
Specifically for India.
Specifically for India, because I'm sure a lot of us know the Takshashila and Nalanda. These were universities where we had people studying from 100 countries all over the world, and they came to study certain disciplines. Now, in modern education system, I think it adds more value, and let me tell you, it's most relevant in today's world because we see so many engineers, that good entrepreneurs, we see so many doctors who are doing some other business. We know some designers who've got into technology industries. We know psychologists who are working with like you know technical industries to make robots. I mean, everything is very interdisciplinary. So this is the actual time where I think people must understand, and this is just a request to all the uh, people who are listening about this of my age, probably. I mean, parents and the adults in students' life, that it is not the same anymore, and it's a strong urge that you need to step out and look at it. I'm not saying it may be perfect for you, because again, if your goal is to just get past this program to get your degree so that you know what you have to do, then anything is okay, because the goal is a degree. But if you are looking at learning for the sake of learning, learning to get clear thoughts, learning to bring perspective, learning to be more creative, learning to solve real world problem, then you need to learn about your society first. And liberal education does exactly like that. Even if a student wants to come and study finance, we teach them courses in psychology, in sociology, or archaeology, anthropology, or they'll take up courses in learning a few different subjects, because that's how different cultures. You learn about public policy, so you learn so many different courses before you actually dive deep. And I think that's a major differentiator, and this is actually a dream curriculum. I mean, I have come into this as a professional. I don't get to sit in the classes and I can't do the whole course again. But let me tell you one thing, it just gives me so much of joy that this exists today.
True.
Because I was not good in mathematics and I was just labeled, my schooling was absolutely taken, the fun of school was taken away, because you could not do something and there was a constant pressure that you have to do this in a certain way, and we're different.
Absolutely.
So, this is not the case anymore, and students really get to explore what they want to study, how they want to study, and and let me tell you, with all this flexibility, there's nothing random, or this flexibility that we give to the students is not random. It's absolutely curated to make sense.
So, what analogy which you just drew here, ma'am, where you mentioned that you are not really every student is not a part of a puzzle which needs to fit in completely, but liberal education kind of handles you as an individual, giving respect to your individual talent and ensuring that there is a growth which is happening, keeping you know, your strengths in mind, which you have
Absolutely.
the right to choose.
So I'll just go a little back first. When the students come to a university, it's a different scenario. In a school, 90% of the schools are day scholars, right? So you have the students who come to a classroom or sit in a classroom are from 10-15 kilometer radius maximum.
Right.
You experiencing almost everything similar, right, from the weather to your road traffic or everything else, and the depending on the fee structure of the school, even a certain socio-economic background. Just imagine, you've been taken away of your perspective or your own individuality in the system itself. When will you actually think about who I am? Who am I? When you come to a university like this, and at Flame, we really, really are very proud that we accept students from national curriculums, from international curriculums. And we absolutely also understand that the students who come from these backgrounds come with a very different prior knowledge, prior experience. But when you go to a university, you're expected to do a same thing. So when your starting points are so different, how are you expected the same thing? And that is a norm that is broken or fogged or reduced by liberal education at Flame University, which means that in the first year you may have a student who's come from a state board with a very rote learning, or and we're talking about good students because the board is the way it is, and the student has done really well, is a merit student, has landed in a university, but now he or she does not come with a similar skill set in comparison to somebody who's from a school which is progressive. And there are so many beautiful schools who are really progressive in the
Nature.
country today, right? So, how do you expect the same student to write a 5,000 word submission after your term
It's
course at Flame versus somebody who comes with those skills? Which means most of the universities, or I'm not like, saying anything to any particular university, because in my opinion every education is absolutely good. It takes us from a level up anyway.
absolutely.
But then sometimes we miss certain things. And because we are in a university that appreciates and focuses on this kind of learning engagement for students, the first year becomes almost an activity or engagement or a curriculum to level up the playground. All right. Somebody coming from a 2 tier, 3 tier small city with whatever experience board versus somebody who's coming from a metro IB Cambridge school, they come very differently prepared. So, what do you do then? So, first, it is just leveling the playground. Just imagine if we've given them so many skills here, be it academic writing. If I've taught the student academic writing who didn't know about it, you think won't that child do better in a psychology class or a public policy class or whatever subjects they choose later on? So, first, it is all about leveling up. And this also, I think, encourages students to, recognize the different kind of learners, different kind of backgrounds they're coming from, and how they contribute so differently in a classroom. And that is something which really, I think, is a core, uh, you know, focus of Flame University. And I meet and interact with students so much. There are two, three things that I most commonly hear. It was transformational because I never thought I'm going to sit in a psychology class, but when I went there, I think this become my, uh, you know, one of the subjects that I'm choosing for my major minor. I still am going to continue to do with major in finance, but now I'm going to do psychology as a minor. It's a beautiful combination. Or somebody who says that I never thought I'm going to play a guitar or do a dance class or any creative things or design for that matter. But the moment they get into the class, they know how important is it is to be able to appreciate things first. Appreciate the aesthetics, appreciate things around, so that you appreciating music is the first thing to do. Then you learn and
Learn,
sing and
absolutely.
do anything. Similarly for any creative field, but we don't talk about that.
And for parents and students who are listening about the liberal education, I think it sums up how what liberal education is and what exactly Flame University is trying to drive and ensure that the future generations, the new lot of Gen Zs, are, I think it's a different breed altogether who have much more exposure. But with this particular curriculum, the way the program delivery is done, the pedagogy is done, definitely they are they are kind of leveling up themselves.
Yes.
Okay, but something which takes me to my next question. I'm sure the idea of liberal education is something which is clear here. However, what in your experience, where you come across a lot of students, you come across a lot of parents as well, what do you think the major or major misconception people have about liberal education? I have heard a lot of versions of it, but I'm very keen on knowing what you have.
So liberal education is the terminology that we brought in consciously for Flame. It's liberal education. Originally it's used as liberal arts,
Right.
but liberal arts doesn't limit them to only arts. Okay, you have liberal in the similar university, you have sciences and business and management and all kinds of courses. So there's a first misconception. Liberal education is again liberating education, not making, I mean, uh, people think that it's for somebody who's really confused or somebody who doesn't know what they have to do. Uh, the second misconception is that it's only meant for humanities and social sciences. Uh, the third one is that it doesn't have any rigor.
Oh, yes.
All right. And please, you can, since you're on campus, you do meet some of the students and you'll know how rigorous it is. In fact, it is more
More
rigorous
rigorous, yes.
because here we're not asking you to, consume the content and reproduce the content. Here it is, you're just given an introduction. You're made to understand I mean, the faculty makes sure that you understand the concept, and then you have to, do your own research, you have to do your own submission. So that kind of work cannot be done a week before your submission deadline or your examination. So here the students have to study throughout the year, and anybody listening to this and thinks that, shortcut is your key, please do not apply, because it does not work like that. You have to be constantly engaged with your classes, with your uh, whatever academics you're doing. You cannot say that I'm going to have fun the whole semester, and 1 week before my fun stops and I just study and I get through. Because in some subject it could be your assignment which is assessed. All right, you had a term and your faculty has given you to write something in 6,000 words or 5,000 words. How do you do that? You have to be engaged throughout. So it's not, there are a lot of misconceptions of these, or that it's not rigorous, it's for people who are confused, or it maybe, another one, that it does not land you in a specific career.
Yes.
All right. And which is the biggest myth, because liberal education, and we're going to dive deeper, I'm sure, in the program, what we're going to do in first year and the other, all that aspect. It actually gives you or empowers you to be ready for more than one career, actually.
True.
Because you know how the
Major minor.
industries are
Yeah.
evolving, and you keep hearing in those economic world forum that, these many jobs will be outdated, these many new will come. So though you have to actually even the universities or any education system doesn't know what we are preparing them for, actually. Even we don't know. So what do we prepare them for? You prepare them for being capable of, you know, solving problems with the skills that you have. It could be just, again, a certain, career focused areas, but you should be able to identify problems, solve problems, have skills, be innovative, be creative, have brilliant communication. I think if you have these skills, who will not want to hire?
Agreed.
So that's another big misconception.
Absolutely. I don't know, with this, it sounds a little funny, but as you just said that, we need to make them capable.
Yes,
All right,
yes.
that's exactly. It's something which kind of my mind directly went to that particular dialogue in Three Idiots, which Amir Khan, said that run to excellence. You need to be capable enough
Yeah.
and not really just go by the book. That is not really going to help. But something, there's another misconception which I normally come across, uh, is that students of ICSE and IGCSE,
Yeah.
this particular curriculum is only for them, this particular field or the stream. Yes, I have, and that is the reason why, when I was
Yeah.
asking you my previous question, ma'am, I told you that I've heard many, but this is something which is which I come across, where parents have a preconceived notion or a misconception that liberal education or liberal arts is only for students from the ICSE curriculum or IGCSE curriculum. uh,
Yeah.
could you share an approximate distribution in Flame University of the board, or what kind of boards you get when it comes to students coming from different boards are concerned?
So I prefer to answer this little differently, because you mentioned two specific boards, ICSE and IGCSE. Actually, liberal education, it allows any kind of learner to come into the system because of the first year
Foundation.
foundation courses that the students do. And it's absolutely a misconception. And if I speak about the data, I would rather look at it from more of a national integration rather than curriculum distribution.
Okay.
So here we are in a country, we have to serve what the country allows. We allow different boards, national, some international. So as a university, the curriculum is so beautifully designed that it actually maps each and every one coming in and starting. And I gave you an example. I can, just repeat that. So any student coming from a small town with ICSE, basically ICSE and IGCSE, you have more schools and they're kind of just looked upon as the better curriculums of sorts, right? But let me tell you, we did a small study internally, and we compared the national curriculum, and I'll bring in CBSE and ISC both together, and then we had Cambridge and IB, that how do these students fare after they've come to us.
Okay.
All right. And we just realized that maybe IB, because it is again interdisciplinary, what we are
Yes.
doing here, I mean, you step down and offer it in the diploma program, it's typically very similar.
Right.
So for these students coming from IB, they had a little heads up because, they've been writing and, their extended essays, TOK, so they know how to research and write. They're taught. Whereas the other students may not have been taught. They may have personally done a project,
Right.
but that's not a curriculum. Like, it's different. So these students just have about a heads up of maybe 5 to 6 months. By the time the student, remember I said leveling the playground.
Right.
And that's where the magic happens. Students coming from any school, any board, any city, any town, they will level up before they actually start their major minors in the second year. So the first year is about the skills, where we say that, we want students to develop foundation core, where, we're talking about skills like, whether it's public speaking or whether it's academic writing or critical thinking. We've recently introduced AI for all disciplines or digital uh, literacy and AI, ethics, and few others. On the side, the students also explore different subjects. I am a humanities student. I have to pick up a course in physical and natural sciences. I'm a science student. I have to pick up a course in humanities. These are our mandatory things. So what I say is that the first year is all about making students comfortable being uncomfortable. So here, I think that's why I said it's a national integration of, rather than board distribution. You may come from any field, any school, any board, any background. The first year will level up. So is it meant for just these boards? I don't think so. It's meant for anyone who wants to learn and who wants to not learn with just rote learning methods and all. There are more than, I don't know, dozens of assessment tools and assessment systems in the university. So your computer science assessment will be different. Your public policy may be something else, a project you did, or literary and cultural studies would be your assignment, which is just assessed now. So there's so many ways. So we're just really wanting people, students to apply who really have that zeal to learn, who want to learn to question the question itself, who want to not, just react and, respond to things. It's very loosely used, but actually, how many of, should us actually just respond to things? We just react to things
True.
because of our own, prior knowledge, prior understanding of things.
So true. I think this kind of clears a lot of misconceptions, what we were talking about. But let's talk about Flame University. Okay. Flame University is India's pioneering liberal education university, undoubtedly. How does Flame defines liberal education, and what sets this particular model, you know, different from the traditional undergraduate degree?
So, what sets Flame apart is interdisciplinary education, because when we started the campus, it was not offered anywhere at a higher education space. There weren't any institutions like this in India. So, we had to, pick up universities like Amherst and Wellesley, where the founders did their blueprint from there. Like, how do you run a program? And that's why I think what sets us apart is the blueprint or the architecture of soft infrastructure, which is our curriculum and our faculty. So these are two things which have never gone out of focus for us. The second thing is also, I think we want to bring in, uh, a generation which actually looks at society first and then themselves. It's very cliche to say it, but people who originally went to study liberal education or the liberal education from the ancient Greek time, they were the leaders, they were the people who ran the societies. They didn't study, they were not doctors, they were not whatever the trades were back then. They were not those people. They were people who could understand and the who could understand what is good for the society. And I often really notice and appreciate my vice chancellor when he always says that, when the students come into the campus, they come with their dream that I'm going to study this to become, a certain, job that they're looking for or a profession they're aspiring for. But when they finish at Flame, they do have a perspective of like, what can I do for my society? And I think that was the whole purpose of, having liberal education institutes. People who could have their voice, who could have their opinion, who could just, and that's what is, I think, changing our education system. Look what happened in National Education Policy 2020. It was almost like brochure of Flame University.
Absolutely.
I mean, we're doing everything what's there. All we had to do is, okay, hey, like, now we were doing 3-year degree program and a seamless extension to a 4th year. All we had to do just change the language and say that it's a 4-year degree program with an exit option after 3 years. Everything else just remained the same. We were so aligned with the policy.
Absolutely.
So Flame has had that focus, and personally, I think the management believes that anything that we say, we should under promise and over deliver, because what we are very conscious and careful about at Flame is that every student matters. We're very, like, clear on certain rules that students must follow. And yeah, so it's a whole ecosystem. And as very beautifully, it's often said that the environment is your third teacher.
True.
So if you cannot ignore your third teacher. I mean, first being parents, second being the schools and universities, but environment teaches you a lot. So
Now, you just spoke about the curriculum, you just spoke about that environment as a third teacher. Okay. My next question is about what is the core pillar for Flame, which is in terms of the academic philosophy, and how do they influence the curriculum? How do they influence the overall student experience?
because Flame is a liberal education university, the core pillar is and will always be interdisciplinarity, because that is where you know the whole concept of liberal education comes from. The second thing is the rigor, because people think that you can study different combinations. They often I think misunderstand flexibility of choosing programs, which is typically like the interdisciplinary education. They think it's diluted,
Hmm.
which is exactly the opposite of what we do. It's not diluted.
I think you actually kind of well said that interdisciplinary doesn't really mean that there's a dilution happening. It's clearly, if that would have been the case, I don't think NEP would have kind of come up. So I think moving back to our first question when we were talking about the misconception, I think a very clear example is the NEP, which you spoke about. Now, what I want to know about is liberal education also is holistic development, as we keep on speaking about it. With Flame University, what exactly learning beyond classrooms, looks like? Because this particular philosophy, is this something which is incorporated, and if it is, how?
So, learning beyond the classroom, again, it's very easy to say. And to put it into a proper structure, it takes a lot of different departments and offices working really, you know, smoothly to make that happen. So at Flame University, we have amazing student life. And this student life is not limited to just your clubs and activities alone, but also their academic projects beyond the classroom. So I'll cover both one by one. So when we're talking about your academics beyond the classroom, it is about your research projects doing actually on ground. It's about, you know, giving opportunities for two students to do internship in real life situation, also giving them opportunity to present their research so that their own profile as a student kind of becomes a little more impressive, or for themselves, I mean, or to showcase depending on what the goal is for the student. So we have the Discover India program, which is absolutely an amazing research project for the students that they do in the second year. And here I think what you teach in the classroom remains a theory until unless you're giving students an opportunity to showcase those talent or concept that the students have learned in real life. Discover India program does exactly that for their research capabilities, researching and writing. Developmental activity program does it for them, how to make them sensitive towards society, because you may have taken birth in a certain family, in a certain setting, and you don't know so many things that are actually happening around. And if you become a decision maker in future, you should at least know that the decision you make, how is it going to impact so many stakeholders of a society. And that comes in from some projects that the students do in the developmental activity program. um, the third one is your summer internship programs. So if I'm studying maybe economics, I need to go out and study and work in the industry to see how that works in the real world. So you may be interning in a think tank, or in some company, and then when you go there and work, you realize that this is what I've learned, but this is what is happening outside, and you do that in the second year, and you still have 2 years left. So you come back little more prepared about how the industry is growing, so that you now know that in the next 2 years these are the 4 5 courses that I must definitely take, because that's the need of the industry. That's one thing, academic uh, journey for academic opportunities beyond the classroom. The other one is non academic, which is very important. Today we have the younger generation, they've been dumped with so much of information, true, not true, too early, too late, all sorts of things are happening. And that, I think, has made them emotionally, like, little more vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how we see, I mean, the number of cases of, especially in the youngsters, they have very early signs of depression in very young age. And how do you deal with that? The best way is to give them opportunities to have fun in a way that they want to, do some activities or whatever they want to do. So we have about, I think, 40 plus clubs and societies where the students keep doing certain activities or events through the year. I don't think so. There are more than 20, 30 days in a year that we don't have any activities. Every day there's some of the other events happening throughout the year. So that, I think, creates the whole environment. I was talking about the whole environment as well,
Absolutely, the
right?
third teacher.
So you know that maybe I'm little low today, but I'm seeing my roommate having fun there, or she's maybe hosting this, the psychology club is hosting some activity, or the sports club is doing something. So you just kind of get encouraged to see what is happening around, and at least they feel a little more lifted. So I think learning beyond the classroom is really important. And in Flame University, more than 40% of their time, or maybe 50% of the time, is in these kind of things. And your academics is just that much because they're 100% residential campus.
True.
We have them throughout the year.
Lovely. Now, one thing is very clear that, Flame is kind of changing, the way we look at the canvas for education. But there's something which is also pretty highlighting is the major minor combinations which is offered by Flame University. What I want to understand is what are the most famous one, or somebody's been like, as they call the bias. I think I'm picking up the lingo correct. Which students have with Flame. What exactly are those major minor combinations?
So before I tell you about the combination, I tell them how they reach out to picking up the combination. So we normally have students coming in, and they don't have to declare anything in the first year. All we must know is whether they're applying for the undergraduate program or Bachelor's of Design, because we offer that as a separate
Separate.
application.
Yeah.
For the undergraduate program, because we offer more than 240 major minor combinations, the students come in say thinking that, hey, I'm a science student and I want to do applied mathematics and maybe computer science, or I want to study data science, or a humanities student coming that I want to study psychology, and so many other examples. But when they come to the university and the first year, when they do all of this exploring, where again Flame really, I think, hats off for creating that huge the soft infrastructure for students to be able to choose anything that they want to. The students have to pick up two courses from humanities, two from social sciences, two from physical and natural sciences, two from design and like creative performance field, and then languages, irrespective of what they want to study. And that's where, remember, I said we make them comfortable being uncomfortable. Because I
Uncomfortable.
was a commerce student, now I have to study humanity and I have to pick up a course in science. Same thing for the commerce student, I have to do. All of this happens. And in this, actually, what the magic takes place is that I, for example, came to Flame to study economics as major. And now, after the first year, I'm 100% sure that I'm going to study advertising and branding as my major. And maybe I'll take economics as my minor. And this is not any random choice. This is because you've sat in those classes, you've heard the professors for the whole year, you've interacted with professionals, you have engaged with the faculty, you're aware of what our senior alumni who studied this, where are they? Because we're in a university, it's a big family. And that decision, I think, that whole first year makes them really um, know not only that you want to study economics, but now they know why they want to study economics. So this is something that happens. And then when we look at these 240 major minor combinations, definitely the popular ones are economics with psychology, finance with design, psychology with advertising and branding, business analytics with entrepreneurship. There's so many combinations. Computer science and data science and economics is popular. Computer science and design is popular. So now, because also this changes with how the industries are evolving. Maybe 5 years down the line, we had very few takers for public policy. Now that has increased because
Absolutely.
so many think tanks are coming in, and people know the importance of how policies are made, because a policy impacts a huge
Clearly.
number of people. And yeah, so and they are now trained because they understand the society well. They've trained themselves to learn more about public policy, and now they feel little more confident. So even that is changing. And with the recent introduction of I mean, though it's not very recent, but then AI, the way it's become so popular. And now the careers, maybe next 3, 4 years, we'll be doing something else in our program, because at Flame, we keep evolving ourselves as the industries are evolving.
Ma'am, would you just, what you mentioned about the kind of support, the beyond classroom, as we were talking about, academic plays a very important role. I am very keen to know that how Flame University supports the, in terms of mentorship, in terms of finding what is right for them, the major minor combination. Because I often come across students who are completely in doubt about what they want to pursue. They do have a little blur image of their goal, but they are not sure
Right.
if, yeah, is that the path they really want to take. How exactly do you guide them?
So we love if students are unsure, because now they have the opportunity to explore and find out. And we have a different support system in the first year, second, third, fourth year, likewise. So the most important thing is that we do not leave a single student alone without any help if the student needs, not a single student. The moment they come to the university, the first thing is that, most of them have come to the university for the first time in a, residential setting. They've left home for the first time. And there are a lot of changes happening, because, obviously you come from a home setting to a university, you need a different kind of support and mentoring.
True.
And here our peer mentors come into play. So we select some students, seniors, who are the peer mentor for the students for the first whole year. And these are small groups, so that, because the student who is the peer mentor knows I was in that place just a year or 2 years ago. So you just resonate and understand where they're coming from, which could be simple things like, how do I apply for leave? How do I pick up a program from the program office? Or how does this platform work? Where do I give my laundry? And I need XYZ. Where do I reach? If you want to eat outside, where do you go? What's the city life like? So all that settling down happens with the peer mentors, just to make them comfortable. Alongside, what we do is, every student is assigned a faculty mentor, and that faculty mentor, in the first year, the faculty mentor's job is to see that, like, you're attending all your classes, because, you have your reports coming. If you're missing, okay, of course faculty is not chasing them if you missed a class, but then if you see that as a pattern, then somebody needs to intervene, because parents don't know about it, right? Or no adult know, and they're still in the first year, just
Right.
settling in. And the faculty mentor keeps a track that, you picked up the courses, you've, submitted your assignments, because, and of course they don't check in, but if the assignment is not submitted, and the concerned faculty has to write, they will also write to the faculty mentor. So I know that my mentee is not submitting in time, and it's a pattern. So I need to come into play, just to guide them and tell them that this is a serious issue and it might impact your degree or anything. The second year, we give them academic mentors. So now in the second year, I have chosen my subject as finance, economics, or whatever. Now I get a mentor, a faculty mentor from that department, to help me learn, understand better, or maybe whatever my questions would be. And I think this whole ecosystem really plays well. Beside that, we have, of course, the counselors, wellness behavioral counselors, who can be reached out to if you are feeling little low, or you need extra support, you need to see a counselor to address certain challenge that you might be facing. I think this is very, very important. And that's why, and thank you for asking this question, this is my favorite line, that's why Flame is a happy campus. The students here are happy, because we've not left those gaps. It takes a big, and remember I told you, a lot of departments have to work smoothly to be able to give that experience to student.
And I can see an army as I've actually walked into the campus. I
Yes.
can see an army of people working with the students. Uh, you know, and one thing, I mean, growth for a student, be it academic, be it beyond classroom, internship, ma'am, becomes a very integral part.
Yes.
Okay, because before they kind of move to the uh, the workforce. It is like a starter for them to kind of just a testing phase. What I want to understand is that what exactly Flame's internship framework is, and how does the university ensure that the students get that real world experience, because that becomes very important. uh, Also, I would like to mention the generation now has got a lot more exposure than possibly I would say I would have got when I of of their age. But how exactly the internship works?
Yeah. So we've placed two internships very strategically. The first one being the developmental activity program, which the students do in the first summer break. And here they have to, because in the first year, remember, we're teaching them a lot of other skills and, introduction to so many disciplines,
Financial literacy, public
financial literacy,
speaking,
public,
yes.
so many of them, right? And now we want to give them a place to work where they can, showcase, where they can add value to that particular organization, and also become little more sensitive towards, how there's so many columns or so many parts of the societies which are not as privileged. And this internship is in an NGO or a non-government, non-profit organization, where the students go and then they just add value, help, and learn and understand. So that's the first internship, because first they need to just get in a place where they need to be working with strangers, with people with different thoughts, maybe. And then how do you settle in an environment which probably you were not thinking, right? The second internship, and usually these internships are again provided by the university, or the students sometimes reach out on their own and also get, because we normally like to place them in their home city because they get to stay with their parents for that summer break. The second internship is your industry internship, where if I'm studying finance, I need to go and study in the industry, need to have a job
In the finance
in the
industry.
internship in the finance industry, so that again I know how to deal with people. What are the skills that I have, what are the skills that I need to wake up and, like, be serious about this one thing, that I must go back, and in my next 2 years I should up my game in that particular area. So these are two very structured internship for our students. And and the maturity level also matters. After your first year you're just learning, but when you finish studying a particular discipline, and by second year you're far more mature than the year before.
Definitely. I mean, this is the pattern of internship helps a student grow. But something which pretty stands out for Flame itself, if the students are looking at, is the student exchange programs
Yes,
with
yes.
multiple collaborations with several international universities.
Yes.
What exactly global learning opportunities do students get? And that's my next question is student exchange programs, summer schools, immersion programs, all these are offered at undergraduate level. So can you just elaborate a little bit more on that?
So Flame does have, partnership or MOUs, whatever you call, with a lot of higher education institutes in Europe, in US, in Asia. And, the students can apply and go for a semester abroad and come back after the semester, and those credits get transferred back to the degree. And most of these collaboration are on very careful mapping, because we want to know that what the students are learning here is also offered and can be transferred back. The credits can be transferred back. So we've done some kind of mapping with a lot of universities, and students do that, number one. Number two, you can also, the students who, because they research a lot, we've taken a very conscious approach on developing more research skill with our students right from the first year, and we run certain training and programs within the university to really teach them a good research framework and everything, and in a proper technical manner. And outcome of that is that the students start researching as maybe an assistant researcher to a faculty. Maybe if you're a faculty, you're psychology faculty researching on something, and I'm a psychology student, I can look up on your bio, okay, or I know that you're doing this. I can apply to be an assistant, and the faculty takes an interview, and so the hundreds of papers have been co-published by student and faculty together. That's another thing. The third thing is that a lot of conferences the students participate in globally. So students go out and present their studies in international conferences. That's again, it's a big feed for us. And I wish you can speak to some of those students while you spend your time here.
I will be. That's definitely on my to-do list. But something which is I'm asking out of curiosity. Okay. Uh being being in forefront, speaking to students and parents, one thing which normally, or I think it's a worry for a lot of parents,
Yeah.
okay, which is uh what kind of contribution all this would uh put for a student's personal growth, because eventually parent, they kind of, I've come across a lot of parents would say they don't do this particular field, don't do that particular field. I think the agenda is the personal growth, where they want their kid to kind of grow.
Yeah.
So what exactly Flame is contributing in a student's personal growth?
I think the number of opportunities that the students get here. I mean, I'll just give you small examples. Now, they're in a university. The main KRA of them being in the university is to learn the disciplines that they've come to learn. That's the main thing. But apart from that, I think life is like, you have to be ready to deal with life,
True.
right? And for that you need some skills. Of course, we do a whole lot of training on that in the first year, but we also give them so many opportunities to show leadership skills. Again, research, this is a personal growth. Like if you've taken liking to do more about a certain discipline or a certain subject or a topic that you're interested in, that's a very very personal thing, because they eventually they're just growing from within as well. They can, you know they get a lot of leadership opportunities here. I think that would be my submission, because I know all these student clubs, student events. So there are a lot of student led clubs and initiatives. Every event that's happening on campus, it is initiated by a student. They're the presidents, the vice presidents, the treasurers, the secretaries. They are running the show. So this is giving them an opportunity to learn how to deal with people. Sometimes you deal with people you don't like. Sometimes you deal with people who don't like you. And you're in the same community, you're doing something similar. Those are the personal, I think, skills and growth, I feel, because then you step out of the university in a better position to deal with different kind of people. It's a reality.
I think being uncomfortable, as you said, that you make them uncomfortable in that comfort zone, and I
Yes.
think that's where the growth starts for them.
Yes, yes.
Ma'am, my last question to you is, and this one is, specifically for a parent, okay, that when they have to opt, or if they are doing their, as we call, application strategy in terms of which college they want to go for, why do you think they need to put Flame University? What exactly they can expect?
So I think I'm a parent, okay, and you definitely want your children to do well. This is for the parents, right? You definitely looking at a place that is safe, because you know what's happening around, and it's just very disheartening and worrisome sometimes, right? So safety is one thing. It's a 100% residential campus. We have rules and regulations in place. We have a very active committee which picks up issues which are not acceptable, so that the message with the students is very clear. Sometimes some parents may be very upset with us because of certain decisions we take, but then that's keeping the higher purpose in, like, in our mind, that the major number of students are safe. That's one thing. The second thing, again, I said, the quality of education and life. Students, here we're not talking about only about your degree and your program that we're offering. Here there's a whole lifestyle. Students are playing sports. It's compulsory, by the way. They have to play sports. If they don't finish certain satisfactory grade in the first year, they don't get a degree. Then the second thing is your involvement in so many things, your communities. So there's so much, nobody can personally provide all of those things to a student, that we have been able to figure and put it up as a whole ecosystem that we've created. The third thing, as the culture that we've set in, and I don't know how we've done it because we were not in a hurry to grow. We were very small campus, and we started in 2007. The first graduating batch was 2011. From there till 14, when we actually became a university, the university was still there, just that UGC recognitions and all those came in 2015. But that time, because we were small and they were very, very uh, highly educated and exposed and dedicated faculty, and we still interact with the alumni, from the first few years. We know what they've become, and what they must have experienced, and all of them have amazing things to say. So because of a small size and for a long time, we were able to set a culture here which cannot be set if you just go boom, because there's so many different people, different ideas, different expectation, different everything. So here I think that is something really, really very precious to us, because only when the students leave the campus they know what they're going to leave behind. And final thing is, like I already mentioned before also, the quality of education is something that the students should be definitely looking out for. And I'm not even mentioning what all we offer, because I think it's already very popular in the student community. Their eyes just pop and they say, oh my God, 240 major minor combinations. I can study finance with 17 possible minors. I can study finance with public policy or with journalism or with film and television or even design. I mean, there's so many options. So I think that kind of really is one of the strongest USP of
Like,
Flame for the students.
and I think with this, parents have definitely kind of got the picture.
Yes.
Uh, normally when I I've interacted with a lot of educationist professionals, and one thing which really stuck with me with one of the professionals who told me was the fact that going forward, you know, a person who's working or even surviving cannot survive in silos. Okay, you need to know about everything happening around you. I think with Flame University, it is tapped in a very lovely manner where students eventually understand that, learn that, and eventually it inculcates in them that they need to be aware about, as multidisciplinary it is also about the surrounding, and as Anju ma'am said, environment becomes the third teacher. So I hope this particular, this is what my takeaway is, but I just hope this particular podcast was helpful. And do mention if you want to kind of hear about any other stream. We will be more than happy to get the professionals, the experts from that particular stream to give you the knowledge or the information you want to. Thank you so much.